All right, it's time to go for a drive in the 718 Spyder. First thing, of course, is to give the key a twist. That's on the left-hand side of the steering wheel in a Porsche. This is a manual, so you got to put your foot on the clutch. And here we go. Nice little burble. I've got a little bit of a leak in one of the tires, so I guess I've run over something sharp. So I put some more air in it anyway. It seems okay. So at this point you have an option of leaving everything as it is, or you can get a little bit more exhaust sound. You can turn the auto stop start off, which is nice, especially when you're warming the car up. It will give you better gas mileage if you use the auto stop start activated, and it also deactivates one bank of cylinders, which I'll show you in a little while. And then you put auto blip on for downshifts. I like that feature. And here we are. Reverse is to the left and forward. Release the e-brake and off we go. Let's talk about the major characteristics of the car to start with. As a driver's car, you sit well into the car. You do have, in this model, I've got the adjustable 18-way seats, so you can raise the seat as much as you want. You can lengthen or shorten the bolsters, the length of the seat there. You can adjust, obviously, the seat back, which you can't always do if you get the carbon seats. You can also adjust all the bolsters here, both the lower bolsters and the mid bolsters for your kind of rib cage, and you can adjust it so that it fits you well. So I would definitely recommend that people think about that, because if you're going to be using the car for a weekend trip or something, you don't want your butt and back to be sore from driving all day, or just uncomfortable while you're driving. So that's one thing. What else we got here? I spec'd this car out with heated seats, heated steering wheel. There's a little button right here. This has the uprated steering wheel, which has phone controls and volume controls and such for the radio system, the stereo system. I've got the uprated stereo, which is the second tier. It's not the Burmester, it's the Bose system. We've got the wiring for a front camera. We have the sensors and the parking camera. We have dual climate control as well. So let's get back to driving characteristics. Just general driving characteristics. First thing a lot of people notice about this car is it's very solid on the road. It feels very solid. It does not feel light and jittery. However, the ride is firm. We're on a nice piece of road right now, so it's fine. Feels pretty good, but you can feel almost everything that you go over. The chassis is going to respond to everything. Steering weight is fairly firm, although you can easily steer with your fingers if you want. It's not quite as light as the S2000 that we have. That AP1 S2000 has a bit lighter steering. This is a bit heavier. So the steering is quite well weighted. It's got fairly big tires. At the rear, it's 295. They're on 20-inch rims. That's a standard configuration. I had it fitted with the PS4S Michelin's rather than the Sport Cup 2s, because this car is primarily a street car. It's not meant to be a track car, even though you could easily track it. People do track them. But I thought it would be better to get a tire that was more comfortable in the wet if it got into that, and was a little bit more streetable. It still has a lot of grip, actually. Surprising. So you got that firm ride, but it's very confident, it's very neutral. If I start building up some speed right now, we're still pretty neutral. We feel the cornering forces and the steering increase. You hear that nice engine note. A lot of people say they really like the sound of this motor about 4,000 RPM, and I agree, I do as well. It's very nice. Okay, let's give it a little bit of throttle, and we'll do a couple corners. Back to second gear. We just went a little bit into third gear there, because I'm not really into keeping the revs up high. There's no real need to. While I'm on that subject of the revs, it's a 4-liter engine. This one, the 718, is the third sort of modern version of the Cayman Boxster chassis configured as a Spyder. The first one was the 987. The second one was the 981. The 987 was produced basically between 2009 and 2011, had 320 horsepower. The second generation, which was the 981, produced 375 horsepower. It was produced up until this one started production. As you build speed, this car gets very nice. It's very confident. Now, where was I? I was talking about the different models. This is the 718 Spyder, the current version, but actually this one is not in production anymore, and it is the last of its kind. This one has 420 PS, or I don't know, 400 and something horsepower. So it's a bit more than the previous generation. These are not limited production cars. Some of the previous versions were pretty limited. However, these are not in production anymore, so that's it. You can't buy a new one. Besides getting this order in 2023 through the Porsche Center Victoria. Thanks, Matt. And also Adam. All right, let's give it a bit more acceleration here. Get the revs up a bit. Not too shabby. Let's settle in a bit. Very nice.
Very nice.
Lovely. It's actually pretty nice on a twisty mountain road. Very comfortable. It's got great suspension, really buttoned down. This one has all the electronic doodads. Porsche Active Stability Management. It has a couple different chassis modes you can get into, although on the street you don't really need to go into the hard setting. The torque is not like crazy, but it's quite steady. It builds really well. It's a nice drivetrain that way. It's fairly direct. So let's say you're at 3,000 RPM. You got lots of torque to get the car moving. You don't need to shift down into first gear, say around a tighter bend. It's still pretty good. I know a lot of people harp on about the second gear. I mean, people will always find something to complain about, quite frankly. But I'll just give you an example here once we straighten out a little bit. We're at 3,000 RPM. Whew. It's got plenty of pickup. It's got plenty of pickup. You can definitely feel the rear end start to get a bit lively in this car when you get on the gas. One thing I've noticed, which didn't happen with my GT3, is that the rear end will actually step out a little bit if you get hard on the gas. Won't do it now, but we're in a straight line. We're at car very nicely. Good communication. Just nice and smooth. That's the way to do it. This is an amazing car. I like that tall second gear. I actually don't like to have to keep shifting all the time. Thank you. I don't like to have to keep shifting because you run out of revs. At least in this car, if you're really getting on it and you just want to keep going, you can just keep going. You want to keep going in revs? Just keep going. Higher, 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 higher. Just keep it going. The salient thing about this one is it's a high revving car that has lots of power. So let's do it. 6,000. Okay, what else are we doing here? We're not going to get much more out of it. Let's see. 7,000. We're going plenty fast enough. Get on the brakes there. It's always a good day when you're out in a car like this, especially when the weather's like this. Beautiful October weather. I don't know if you can hear some of the stuff kicking up off the road onto the tires and into the wheel wells. That happens a lot. So I'm just putting it out there. These Michelin PS4S tires are pretty sticky. They may not be as sticky as the PS2s, the Cup 2s, but they're pretty sticky. All right, let's turn around here. Let's find a spot to look over the car, shall we? I was going to do this in reverse anyways, just because I felt like putting the cameras on the car and going for a drive, and then we can talk about it. I'm putting the e-brake on. There we go.